the little Subaru really cheap and ugly?
Yes, it is. That's the entire point. Amidst the weird cars of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, Subaru single-handedly takes the crown. If you've ever stepped foot in the state of Vermont or met its owner in a Whole Foods parking lot, you know exactly what makes a Subaru. Inherent quirkiness and all-wheel drive. And nowadays, Subaru is a bit more grown up. Yeah, they still have like 4 Pokemon binders they look at every night before bed. But they don't wear the t-shirt and Ash Ketchum hat to school anymore. In other words, they still possess those weird mannerisms responsible for cars like the XT, but lean more into their reputation consisting of boxer engines and versatility. Rightfully so, most people have forgotten Subaru's villain arc due to the popularity of the Forester, the Outback, and even the BRZ. So let me remind you. Now, I could tell you all about the weird, laughable, and quirk-filled cars that define Subaru. There's the 1975 Subaru 4x4 wagon. That's it. That's the name. The bi-drive recreational all-terrain transport, or BRAT, the XT, and the SVX and its fighter jet-style windows. But our story doesn't technically start with a heritage of weird cars. Rather, it starts with one young man by the name of Noriyuki Koseki. Whilst racing a Subaru 360 in a Japanese Grand Prix in 1964, Koseki founded the Joshu Auto Club in Japan, starting a long-standing relationship with Subaru. In the years that followed, Koseki began competing in races around the world, like the London-Sydney Rally, the Baja 500, and the Mexican 1000. Then, in 1971, Subaru debuted the Leone. Named after the Italian word for lion, because why not?
Well, I speak most Italian, so I'll be your escort. Buongiorno. Corretto.
The Leone would go on to reign as their best seller for decades and served as a perfect rallying base. In 1980, Subaru gave Koseki official backing and ventured into the World Rally Championship. Armed with a modified Leone and a small team of mechanics, Koseki laid the foundation of the notorious Subaru Technica International. Mostly piloting a Subaru FF-1 and modified Leones, Koseki single-handedly started all of Subaru's motorsport participation. But just like Michael Jordan in his early years, they didn't do all that much winning. Finally, in 1988, Subaru saw the success of another odd automaker and asked, what does a car brand known for its symmetrical all-wheel drive technology do for publicity? There are only so many ski mountains to climb and wilderness commercials to shoot, so Subaru took to the drawing board in the best way that they saw fit. Subaru Technica International was formed and partnered with ProDrive to take rallying seriously and create appeal for their cars. In just its second full season running, the Impreza WRX sent the message that Subaru wasn't around just to sell, they were there to win. With the legendary Carlos Sainz and Colin McRae behind the wheel, they did just that. A lot.
Six left. Izquierda rápida, ojo para no cortos.
Following just 5 years of competing, Subaru had won 3 consecutive manufacturers' championships in 95, 96, and 97. And Colin McRae had brought home the Drivers' Championship in 95. Since its inception, the STI program was designed to take the Leone's successor rallying, which birthed the Legacy RS. Although widely overlooked, this 220 horsepower Group A homologation was no slouch. Remarkably, Koseki and the FIA coordinated to set up the World Land Endurance record, traveling 62,000 miles over 447 hours and 44 minutes, while averaging 139 miles per hour in a modified Legacy RS. During Koseki's stun with STI in the desert, the company was in real trouble. Sales had fallen more than 15% from 1989 to 1990, and Fuji Heavy Industries desperately needed to re-establish itself. Simultaneously, the rest of Japan was enjoying the fruit of its economic boom, becoming the world's second-largest economy. Young people were flooding the automotive market, eager to buy the latest and greatest, whereas designers and engineers alike fled from Subaru to greener pastures in droves. Subaru was not appealing to the young and cool that it had to. Recognizing this, the company turned to a new page in its storybook. A 22-year-old design student, Akira Tashima, had just graduated from the University of Tsukuba while studying design and product design. Like many of Japan's adolescents at the time, Tashima-san grew up with an affection for sports cars. As a high school student, he grew fond of Bari Bari Densetsu, a manga that follows the story of 4 high school students racing motorcycles in the Toge, Japan's famous winding mountain roads. His favorite manga inspired him and sparked his passion for motorsport. In the series, the characters found themselves at a racecourse called the Tsukuba Circuit. Still in high school, it became Tashima-san's dream to race on the same course, so much so that he got a job working part-time at the circuit and even raced in several of the races there. Though his dream consisted of motorcycle racing, he realized it was too dangerous for him and made the switch to car racing. As a student, he rode motorbikes and drove a Nissan March Super Turbo. Enthralled by the competition and surrounded by the cars he grew up lusting after, he fell in love with car racing and set his sights on designing the next Nissan Skyline GTR after graduation. Degree in hand, Tashima-san sat for the Nissan Motor Company entrance exam to Nissan's design center, but his rejection saw his dream crushed. The fantasy of penciling the next iteration of Godzilla would remain a fantasy. However, not all was lost. Confronted by fortune, an opportunity to join another Japanese automaker arose, and Tashima-san joined Fuji Heavy Industries, Subaru, as one of 4 freshmen admitted to the design department. He was assigned to the design team of a car still under development without a name. The Legacy RS's meager success had proved insufficient, and with the Leone vastly outdated, Subaru was now at a critical point both financially and reverentially. The company's success was bankrolled on a new, mass-market car to slot in below the Legacy, and the public viewed them in a less than appealing light. Young Tashima-san was assigned to this nameless project. The criteria, simple yet overwhelmingly complex in nature, stated the car had to sell in heaps as a base version, carry a sporty, stylish design, and appeal to every age and class of buyer.
And the car business, okay? Okay. This car is like punk rock. Now, just trust me, this is relevant. Do you remember when rock and roll
Available in sedan, wagon, and coupe form. All of this assigned to a young man just 22 years of age and a rookie. Just 1 year later, in 1990, the senior design executive assigned to the project quit, leaving Tashima-san thrust into a position most people only dreamt of. Entrusted with the design of the sedan, sports wagon, WRX, and NA coupe specifications, he worked diligently to design a car that his younger self could only dream of. In his words, Tashima-san stated that he was the main designer, especially for the WRX, which required more tasking design elements to enhance its sporty appeal. In naming the project, Subaru returned to its non-existent Italian roots and dubbed it the Impreza. Supposedly, it was named for the translation undertaking or make your mark.
Yo, I'm Sam, but around here they call me Jaybird.
Thus, the Impreza was intended to show the world that the company was there to stay, and in the rallying world, that their team came to play. When debuted in 1992, the Impreza was an overnight success. Though it came in multiple specifications, the WRX, or World Rally Experimental, overshadowed the rest. Even in homogenized form, the Impreza was extraordinary. According to Subaru, their boxer engine configuration paired inline to the transmission lowered the center of gravity, thus improving handling and reducing body roll. Where the WRX was its more expensive, less practical older brother, it touted stiffer, improved suspension thanks to coil springs on every corner, standard all-wheel drive, and of course, a turbocharged Boxer 4. Subaru had defeated its greatest hindrance, the outdated, uncool economy car reputation. In its place was a growling, turbocharged, sleek car that would tear up asphalt and mud alike. Internally known as the GC8 and GF8, the first generation of WRXs also received a limited slip differential, a hood scoop to feed its massive intercooler, and the famous rear wing. All of this angry, snarling monster was good for 240 horsepower in a 2,600-pound package, which punched you to 60 in just 5.5 seconds. The Motu Road Gorge. 47 kilometers of snaking, challenging twists and turns painted along the coastline of Opotiki up through the hills of Motu, New Zealand. This stage of the New Zealand rally strikes fear into the drivers that fly along its slippery bends and is unequivocally the toughest, slowest stage in world rallying, which made it the perfect venue for Colin McRae to score his maiden World Rally Championship win, piloting an updated Impreza. Earlier in 1994, Subaru unveiled its most significant update to the WRX, the WRX STI version. This was like giving Popeye his first bowl of spinach, and just like he did in the cartoons, Subaru opened a can of whoop-ass on everyone standing in their way in the 3 years that ensued. Regardless of the FIA's new regulations intended to slow the cars down, Sainz and McRae combined to win 5 of the 8 rallies behind the wheel of the Impreza 555. What's more, the Impreza 555 podiumed in 6 of the 7 races it finished and took home first, second, third finishes in the final couple of rallies. In a bitter fight for the Drivers' Championship, 2 million fans lined the forests of Wales to witness Colin McRae will his Impreza to victory in both the 1995 Driver and Manufacturers Championships. 1996 saw another slew of rally wins for the Impreza 555, and Subaru handily winning the Manufacturers Championship. The car remained mostly unchanged, proving its sheer transcendence. The 1997 season saw the FIA publish cardinal changes to the rulebook. An alternative way to prepare and homologate Group A rally cars was allowed, and manufacturers no longer needed to produce the road-going versions of its rally cars to participate in the WRC. Instead, the turbo and four-wheel drive system could be added to any model produced in sufficient quantities. Sorry to waste your time right there with that dribble, because none of it mattered. Like Lewis Hamilton in a W11 or Verstappen in the RB19, the result was inevitable. Despite 6 retirements over the course of the season, McRae managed to finish only 1 point before the champion driver, and once again Subaru took home the championship by a hefty margin. Having decidedly three-peated as manufacturers' champions, Subaru could see their dynasty was nearing a turning point. Ford was preparing to debut its all-new Focus. Mitsubishi was still a major player and expecting to challenge in the '98 championship, and other powerhouse manufacturers were entering the fight. To commemorate its 40-year anniversary and WRC three-peat, Subaru approached its partner ProDrive to take a GC8 WRX STI and add a factory widebody via the Peter Stevens designed WRC car, adding 3.15 inches of width, while STI went to work on the rest. Manifesting its reputation as a bespoke piece of artwork, the 22B was powered by a hand-built 2.2-liter EJ22G Boxer 4 stroker mated to a 5-speed manual transmission. The tachometer framed an 8,000 RPM redline behind the Momo steering wheel. Transmitting the power to the dynamite all-wheel drive system was a sintered twin clutch with a ceramic disc. The chassis were built on the WRX Type R taken directly from the assembly line for modification. Alongside the widebody, a specialty hood with a scoop big enough to feed a small village was added. The front bumper yielded inspiration directly from the WRC cars. The suspension provided inverted Bilstein dampers and I-box springs with forged aluminum lower control arms and rose joints. Stopping power came from 4-piston front and 2-piston rear STI calipers painted red. the rear wing came adjustable as standard. Saving the best for last, all 424 examples, which reportedly sold out in just 30 minutes, were finished in a unique shade of blue, and the notorious gold 17-inch BBS rims wrapped in Pirelli P0 rubber were added. Though the power was supposedly capped at 276 horsepower in accordance with Japan's gentleman agreement, the 22B reached 60 in 5 seconds flat, benefiting from less turbo lag, lightning throttle response, and a wider power band. 30 years later, the Subaru 22B STI has achieved eminence as a world-renowned symbol of one of the golden ages of the automobile. And rightfully so, its name belongs in the rafters alongside the greats because of its outstanding qualities and what it represents. For a generation, Rally is defined by the blue and gold colors that is Subaru. Thanks to the design cues of Peter Stevens, the man accredited with the design of the McLaren F1, the ultimate homologation came to fruition, achieving the status of best of the rest. Though one can't say for certain, the Impreza WRX saved Subaru. And say what you will about the quirky automaker, they are one of the last to offer a manual transmission on new cars, with upwards of 75% of buyers opting for a wiggly stick in the BRZ and WRX. What's more, the man who was inspired by the manga he consumed as a teenager persisted with his dreams, and in doing so, created a quintessential piece of automotive history, both in design elements and in representation. After serving as a key designer solely responsible for the bumpers, lights, side mirrors, emblems, body trims, and wheels, Tashima-san stayed at Subaru until the release of the Impreza in November of 1992 and resigned following its launch and media coverage. At the heart of every automaker's actions lies a focus on achieving a positive financial outcome. In some regards, Subaru's venture into the rallying world rivaled this idea. Dumping millions upon millions of dollars into their team, one can't help but recall a famous line, "The quickest way to make a small fortune in racing is to start with a big one." Yes, rallying is a form of advertising, and it's intended to be a value add for the company, which is exactly the same corporate mindset that Tashima-san rejected and led him to walking away from the industry.
By the time the team returned to Catalonia last month for this year's event, that promise had been fulfilled with 3 straight victories. This was the shakedown day to confirm the results of earlier testing.
I think we've got it just right with the rules. There's enough freedom. You don't have to compromise your road car design.
By nature, it was a no-expense-spared special edition commemorating the success of people. From Colin McRae to Tashima-san, who played no small part alongside the now-retired lead designer Hidefumi Kato, brought their artistic vision into the world to be seen and relish in its beauty. The 22B reminds us of what is possible when we work hard and follow our passion, just as Tashima-san did. Figments of a high school boy's imagination came to reality through his focus and hard work while doing what he loved. In the face of rejection to Nissan, Tashima-san went on to become the father of a car that Godzilla could only dream of being. Nowadays, Tashima-san lives in Gunma, Japan, the same place where his favorite manga, Initial D, is plotted. As fate would have it, possibly the most famous racing story of our generation is written by Shuichi Shigeno, the same author of the childhood manga that started it all for Tashima-san. On a brisk afternoon in the Toge, one can expect to find Tashima-san racing his very own 22B and admiring the design he can call his own. But the pinnacle of this story, in the words of Tashima-san himself, a few years later, after the Impreza WRX entered and won the WRC, a miracle happened. The father of the main character in Initial D drives an Impreza WRX in the manga. What started as a Japanese utility company seeking to sell a useful appliance to its customers became an illustration of what car companies can do without the constraints of profit. Throughout the time since the 22B's inception, many have debated where it yields its name from. Some suppose that the 22 comes from the 2.2-liter Boxer engine, and the B for Bilstein suspension, whereas others surmise that 22B is hexadecimal for the number 555, referencing Subaru's main sponsor in the WRC from 1993 to 2004. In any case, I contend that the 22B's name represents something more. That is, the age at which Tashima-san designed it, 22. And the B simply for the best iteration of any STI. Time and time again, we find in unremarkable fashion that the cars found on the bedroom walls of kids and in the stories echoing through time and space, the best cars are the ones built on passion, the kind that harness authentic beauty that corporations seeking profit cannot replicate themselves. So they delegate to Tashima-san and the others out there that would quietly live in the mountains, racing the car they helped design and living every moment in contentment given the chance. In the case of the 22B and Tashima-san, their story is one of beauty and fiery passion. Sure, you could say, love is truly what made this Subaru a Subaru.
And I will always love you. Will always love you.
これからはスポーツワゴン New Impreza.
Thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos. Have a great day.